the harrier being a top predator and such a threatened raptor that depends on these bigger areas of fynbos and Renosterveld, for us it's a flagship species for these habitats. Having started working on these birds in the year 2000, I still feel that I know nothing. In the last few years, we've realized there are some really important clusters of Renosterveld, which contain some of the highest densities of harriers that we've found to date.
Dr. Odette Curtis Scott het 'n groot passie vir die bewaring en bestuur van dit wat oor is van die bedreigde Renosterveldplante groei en het die kaalwangvalk projek gestig. Studies dui aan dat kaalwangvalkgetalle jaarliks afneem, wat dit 'n kritiek bedreigde spesies maak.
They usually hatch between 1 and 3 chicks. 4 is extremely rare.
Een van die grootste kaalwangvalk broeikolonies in die Oeverberg Renosterveld is naby die Excelsior windplaas in Swellendam ontdek. Dis 'n groot bekommernis. Navorsing toon hoë sterftesyfers van roofvoëls wat rondom windplase reg oor die land woon.
If we lose those species that tell us that the environment is still healthy, at least to some degree, then we've got no chance of keeping this planet healthy.
Die Renosterveldstreek van die Oeverberg in die Wes-Kaap is ook deur die regering as 'n herwinbare energie-ontwikkelingsone geïdentifiseer. Dit beteken dat die kaalwangvalk se primêre habitat in gevaar is en dat hulle minder veilige plekke het om te broei.
Wind turbines make us very nervous and don't believe they are as green as they are made out to be. There are huge issues with how many birds and bats they are killing, but also their general disturbance to the environment, especially when they're put on the edge of a remnant of natural veld.
Odette is een van die bewaarders wat met BirdLife South Africa saamwerk om voëlsterftes weens windturbines tot bedaring te bring. BirdLife South Africa is al dekades lank in die voorste gelid, besig om beleide en riglyne op te stel vir die regering en ontwikkelaars om die negatiewe impakte op die omgewing en voëlspesies te minimaliseer, terwyl die land aanhou om herwinbare energieopwekking te ontwikkel.
Black Harriers' story is a little bit different. We didn't actually know that they were at risk of turbine collisions or as much of a risk until when the first wind farms went up in South Africa and we started actually monitoring. So we'll go to Excelsior, they do extensive monitoring looking for carcasses beneath the turbines. And it's only thanks to doing that they started picking up, oh dear, this bird's actually at risk.
Die BTE Renewables Excelsior Wind Farm was toe die eerste in die industrie om 'n impaksversagtingsprogram genaamd Shutdown on Demand op die perseel bekend te stel om verdere verliese van bedreigde voëlspesies te vermy.
For over a year and a half, we've had hundreds of shutdowns. Unfortunately for Black Harrier, we did have one strike quite near the beginning of operations. But as a result of that, we did a root cause analysis. We've moved vantage points to make sure there's no blind spots.
The program is designed for 6 priority bird species. The first is for the Cape vulture, the Marshall eagle, and the Feroxis eagle. That's, according to the IUCN, that's the endangered species. And for the Black Harrier, globally and nationally, they are critically endangered.
EP2, can I have a shutdown on turbine 9, please, for Black Harrier?
We've done 130 shutdowns for the Black Harrier and 246 for the Cape vulture. The Marshall eagle and the Feroxis eagle, they around sight, but they don't come close to the wind turbine.
We do not suffer significant losses due to the shutdowns. The shutdowns, although they are being high, they're only a couple of minutes per shutdown. And the losses is extremely low in compared to the amount of shutdowns. So it's not any major losses to us.
We have approximately 25 to 27 operational wind farms in South Africa, and that is going to go up in future years, probably exponentially. Now, there's going to be some species, there's going to be some commoner species. Let's take a jackal buzzard, which is a very commonly killed species, partly because it's common, there's many out there, and partly because it spends a lot of time within that blade-swept area. What we're worrying about at the present are the really rare species. So, for example, there's 1,300 black harriers on the planet. Is endemic, only found in South Africa.
In 2020 het Dr. Oudette met die kaalwangvalk guru, Dr. Rob Simmons, BirdLife South Africa en die Trust vir Bedreigde Natuurlewe begin saamwerk om kaalwangvalke met GPS monitors te merk. Hulle het met die mannetjies nader aan die Excelsior windplaas begin om hulle te monitor en meer oor hulle gedrag te leer.
Rob's initial work with the first GPS tags showed that they travel from the west coast to Lesotho. We had no idea they were doing that, you know. So some of our birds that we've got tagged here haven't moved at all. So, you know, what makes them move one year and not the other? Do certain birds move and not others? So there's so many things that we still don't understand.
Tot op datum is 6 kaalwangvalke gemerk.
We now have a Black Harrier task force, which is looking at depth into this bird. We now have a habitat suitability model for Black Harriers.
Baie interessant. Ons vat 'n vinnige breek, maar is net na die breek weer terug met meer.
I think our environment's in big trouble, and I think our response to the need for green energy has, for me, been too much of a knee-jerk reaction, kind of panic, you know, without enough long-term consideration and perhaps a little bit more time to get the technology to a point where it is safe for birds and bats.
Jeffreys Bay windplaas het ook verligtingsmaatreëls teen voëlbotsings met turbines bekendgestel. Dis die eerste en grootste in die land.
Ons het 60 turbines op wat strek oor 3700 hektaar. Ons het 7 verskillende grondeienaars.
Our biggest impact in this environment would be to the black harrier and the martial eagle. We had, over the 6 operational years, we've had 6 black harrier fatalities because of the low number in the population. Even one fatality is too many. The performance standard that we committed to requires that if you're impacting on a critical habitat or critical species, then you must implement offset measures.
So just by having, you know, the roost area conserved, or someone else breeding, you know, in an offset area, is a second best option. Stop killing those adult birds is the best option, because those birds are going to live for between 5 and 8 years, breeding, producing youngsters, the next generation, year after year after year, and keeping our black harriers, you know, in the skies. You kill them, not only do you kill that particular individual, but you kill that year's generation.
Recent research has shown that even just increasing the fatality rate for the population by 5 adults a year, that population or that species is going to go extinct within 75 years. So that's actually quite scary.
We gave them 3 sets of mitigations that we think would be good for black harriers. That would be shutdown on demand. So if a bird is seen flying towards a turbine, it's automatically shut down. We've suggested the black blade or the striped blade, and we've also suggested that you make the habitat less attractive.
Jeffreys Bay windplaas het sedert die aanvang van die projek 'n span wat karkasse van voëls wat met turbines gebots het versamel en inligting oor die impak wat turbines op die gebied se voëllewe het verskaf.
Die werk het my lewe heeltemal verander, want ek het meer 'n sagte plek om vind vir diere self. Maak nie saak klein of groot nie. Ek het liefde vir almal en ek sal alles in my vermoë doen om uit te gaan om elke dier te help.
Sonet is deel van die moniteringsspan op die perseel, 'n maatskappy gestig deur die plaas se voormalige karkasversamelaar, Bradwell Peterson.
Môre is jy sleg? Enigiets al gesien vir die dag? If there's like certain species, those that are actually endangered, when the observers spot them, they record them, they monitor the movements, and if they see they will move in the direction of a specific turbine, they will call in, and then the people at ROC will switch off the turbine. So this is just like another step to try and prevent actually a fatality of occurring, especially, as you know, the black harrier, because they are highly endangered and they do occur in the area. So that's the main focus actually of this project.
Die program se naam, ons noem dit die ALSDOT program. Dit staan vir Observer Led Shutdown on Demand. Daarso is 15 ouetjies. Wat hulle doen is hulle 2 poste op die windplaas wat hulle sit. Een is aan die noordelike kant van die windplaas, een op die suidelike kant van die windplaas. Uitkykposte.
One of the things that my project does is we pick up these problems and we develop guidelines to try and encourage the specialists who actually doing the work to strengthen the impact assessment, strengthen the recommendations for mitigation. We're not at a situation where wind energy is causing the extinction of species. We're in it for the long run. We want to put everything in place now to make sure that that never happens.
Zininzi ezintaka sifundiswa ngazo apha. Safundiswa ukuthi intaka enjani, uyibona ngantoni, like uba ibhabha kanjani, xa ifuna ukutya ibhabha kanjani. Intaka phofu ziyafana nathi, ndingatsho. Ngoba zonke ziyaphila njengathi basiphila. So kubalekile ukuthi sizinakekele futhi sizijonge ukuthi ziphile futhi zihlale zi-right nazo.
Die span is 7 dae 'n week op die perseel, besig om elke detail oor die gedrag van die voëls in die gebied te dokumenteer.
So this is the second year we're going now. We haven't had any fatality occur during the period as of yet, and we do hope that what we are doing, we're having a good impact on natural environment.
Hello ALSDOT, this is VP2 calling. We are at turbine 8. The direction is coming from west, and the bird is also flying that direction on danger zone. Please shut it down for us.
Om die turbine te stop self is nie baie groot moeite nie. Dit word alles op 'n rekenaar gedoen. Dit is letterlik hulle klik net op die turbine wat afgeskakel moet word. Die black harrier is 'n bedreigde spesies. So ons probeer om eerder die black harriers se lewens te spaar as om te kyk na die produksie impak, want die impak is nie so groot produksiegewys as die turbine vir 'n kort rukkie stop nie.
There is definitely hope. We have, as I say, BirdLife at the helm, directing us of how we should be doing these wind farm studies. There are a lot of specialists like myself who have the birds' conservation at heart. We also have conservation agencies, the Overberg Renosterveld Conservation Trust, and Dr. Odette Curtis Scott. She was a student of mine 20 years ago, and she's been flying amazingly since then. She is conserving the habitat of the black harriers, so that gives me an enormous amount of hope.
I think our environment's in big trouble, and I think our response to the need for green energy has, for me, been too much of a knee-jerk reaction, a kind of panic, without enough long-term consideration and perhaps a little bit more time to get the technology to a point where it is safe for birds and bats. The impact studies have often just focused on the exact footprint of the wind turbines. But what about the impacts on the ecosystem?